let's talk about something we've all been feeling. Why does it seem like we're constantly catching something? A cough, a cold, or just that lingering feeling of being run down? Well, it's not just in your head. It's a very real, modern problem. And today, we're going to get into what's really behind this immunity crisis.
Seriously, just think about it for a second. Does it seem like you, or maybe your kids or your friends, are just dealing with way more colds and flus than our parents or grandparents ever did? If you've ever had that thought, you are definitely not alone. And it turns out there are some really clear reasons why this might be happening.
I mean, our entire environment has completely changed in just a couple of generations. We've literally swapped playing outside for living our lives indoors. We traded farm-fresh, whole foods for meals that are ultra-processed. And we went from a world of natural, everyday germ exposure to one that's, well, over-sanitized. Every single one of these shifts has a direct and massive impact on our body's defense system. So where do we even begin to unpack all of this? Well, it all starts with this really fascinating scientific idea called the hygiene hypothesis.
Okay, so here's the crazy paradox. We thought that being cleaner automatically meant being healthier, right? But what this theory suggests is that our immune system is kind of like a muscle. It needs a regular workout, especially when we're kids. By living in these super sterile environments, we're just not giving it the training it needs to learn the difference between a real threat and something that's totally harmless. And that can lead to all sorts of problems, like weakness, but also major overreactions. Think allergies.
So yeah, it's not just about being too clean. There's more going on. And that brings us to what I like to call the triple threat that modern life is posing to our immune defenses. The three big culprits are poor nutrition, chronic stress, and a whole bunch of environmental factors. And look, these aren't separate problems. They all work together, from the processed foods we eat to the insane pace of our lives to pollutants in our air and water. It's like they're creating a perfect storm that just wears down our body's ability to protect itself. In all three of those culprits, they all lead back to one central villain: chronic inflammation. You can think of inflammation as your body's internal fire alarm. A little bit is good, right? It's a sign your immune system is on the job fighting an infection. But what happens when that alarm is ringing constantly, day in and day out? Your immune system just gets exhausted and confused. So let's take a closer look, starting with nutrition. When we eat all these ultra-processed foods, our body can actually see them as foreign invaders, and yep, it sounds that inflammatory alarm. Over time, this constant alarm damages our gut, which is supposed to be our first line of defense. And a damaged gut? Well, it simply cannot support a strong immune system. And it's not just about what we eat. Our modern high-stress lives play a huge role here. Constant stress means a constant drip, drip, drip of the hormone cortisol. Now, cortisol can be helpful in the short term, but when it's always floating around, it actually suppresses our immune cells' ability to do their job, leaving us wide open and vulnerable. This brings us to what might just be the single most important player in this whole story. Let's dive into section 3 and focus on the absolute command center of your immunity, your gut. Just let that number sink in for a minute. 70%. The vast majority of the cells that make up your entire immune system don't live in your blood or your lymph nodes. They live right there, in your digestive tract. This means if your gut isn't healthy, your immune system can't be healthy. It is a direct one-to-one connection. This brings us to a modern medical miracle that, well, has some unintended consequences. Look, antibiotics are absolute lifesavers. But for your gut microbiome, they're basically a nuclear bomb. They wipe out the bad bacteria, which is great, but they also destroy trillions of the good essential bacteria, leaving your body's defenses severely, severely depleted. So all of this stuff, the junk food, the constant stress, the antibiotics, it can all lead to a condition that you might have heard of called leaky gut. This is literally when the barrier of your intestinal wall starts to break down. Things like undigested food particles and toxins can then escape into your bloodstream, which puts your immune system on high alert all over your body, causing that chronic, damaging inflammation we keep talking about. Okay, I know, that's the problem, and it sounds pretty grim. But here is the really good news. Our bodies are incredibly resilient. So for our final section, let's talk about the comeback plan. Some simple, powerful steps you can actually take to start rebuilding your defenses. Let's start with some easy wins, okay? Because you do not have to overhaul your entire life overnight. We're talking simple swaps like trading sugary drinks for something fermented like kombucha, or processed snacks for fermented veggies like sauerkraut or kimchi.
These things directly feed the good bacteria in your gut and help rebuild that crucial gut.
And if you want a super simple shopping list, here are 5 powerhouses to focus on. Garlic, ginger, and turmeric are potent, natural anti-inflammatories that help calm that fire alarm. Yogurt gives you probiotics, the good guys themselves. And leafy greens are prebiotics. That's the food that helps those good microbes thrive. Just start adding these in wherever you can.
But hey, immunity isn't just about food. It's also about routine. Start your day with a little morning sun to get that essential vitamin D. Try to squeeze in a short walk midday to get your immune cells circulating. And maybe most importantly, prioritize quality sleep. That is when your body does its most critical repair work.
I mean, just look at the difference sleep makes. Consistently getting less than 6 hours a night will significantly suppress your immune function. Getting 7 to 8 hours, that is non-negotiable if you want a strong, resilient immune system. It's truly your body's reset button, and you get to press it every single night.
So, wow, we've covered a lot, from the hygiene hypothesis to leaky gut and the incredible power of sleep. But it all comes down to small, consistent actions. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Looking at everything we've talked about, what's just one simple thing you can start doing today to begin your own immunity comeback?